Before we start this video off, I just want to make a quick point. This video is not being made with the intention of bullying a fandom. I don't dislike furries, but I don't like them either. I'm indifferent about them, really. I honestly couldn't care less what you enjoy so long as it isn't hurting anyone. I believe everyone has a hobby. For example, mine is collecting Warhammer. All I'm really saying is, don't be a dick. Don't go harassing anyone. So a quick bit of context before we start. My friend Robert sent me this Twitter thread a couple of months ago. This was posted by the user Way Unappreciator, and it says, "My wife got approached, and she turned them down, by a fucking angry boomer furry fraternity to do art for their bad men-only website, and I'm absolutely losing my fucking shit." Now, I've already read through this, and I'm glad I did, because there's no way I'd have been able to read this blind without stopping and starting from laughing too much. So I decided to voice it over like some sort of David Attenborough documentary. Let's begin, shall we? We're looking for a few good animals. It wasn't always like this. 10 years ago, Furry worked for men like us, who just wanted to enjoy the art and the costumes and to have a good time. These days, it doesn't. Furry changed for the worse. Along the way, Furry evolved from an eclectic fandom into a subculture with a radical political and cultural agenda. Changes in technology, demographics, and a culture war all caused this. That nonsense doesn't belong in something that's supposed to be fun, and we won't accept it. We're making something better. We're bringing back the good times, rekindling the magic of the fandom of old. It's not going to be easy, and we can't do it alone. Poke around our website, and if you like what you see, join up. Membership is open to men over the age of 21. Our mission: Furry as it was meant to be. We won't get the old furry fandom back, but we can learn from the past and make something new. This institution preserves its ideals, and has learned from the mistakes it made along the way. Our structure and values represent a new fandom adapted to new realities. It will stand the test of time. Independence. We are not bound by the norms and precedents of others. We have no obligation to outsiders. Our loyalty is our own. We bend the knee to none. Fraternity. We are an organisation for men with common interests who have banded together for enjoyment of each other's company and mutual support. We are loyal and honourable to one another, one for all for one. Insularity. We do not seek any involvement in affairs that are not our own, and we keep our business private as it is no one else's. Excellence. We are loyal and honourable to one another, seek the best craftsmen to create for us, and have festivities that are legendary. Our motto: Feroces fortuna juvat. Fortune favours the wild. No one ever got anywhere by going with the flow. It takes backbone and fortitude to accomplish anything. Ferox, the singular of feroces, not only means wild, but it also means bold, courageous, warlike, spirited, gallant, savage, headstrong, and fierce. These are traits that are sorely lacking in Furry these days, but are in no short supply here. Our values: independence. Oh, hang on a minute, I've already read all of this. Yeah, let me just check. Yeah, I have read all of this. I'm not reading it all again. So look at this furry space marine. Just replace that griffin on his shoulder pad with an Ultramarines logo. Sorted. What's in it for me? Values are all well and good, but a synergy with any group must work for you. Here is what we bring to the table. You will have a place to be furry where you can be at ease. Around us, you won't have to walk on eggshells or worry about witch hunts because anything you say here is confidential. The atmosphere is about as close as what Furry was 10 years ago as we can manage. You will no longer have to use crappy websites like Twitter or Fur Affinity to stay in the loop. As part of our mission, we will create an entirely new platform across Telegram and our website that cuts out both Silicon Valley and legacy furry media. As we attract more artists and fursuit makers to our banner, the website will indicate whether they are open or about to open for commissions. In other words, you can have your cake and eat it too, and we're baking the best cake anywhere. We only admit men of good character, so you are going to make a lot of new friends, and maybe even a new connection if you're in the same business. Conventions with us are a blast. We have the best booze, the best food, better than any sponsor's suite, and the best events both during and after the convention. There's no reason to skimp on the good stuff. There was never a good knife made of bad steel. Benjamin Franklin. It is a good thing to learn caution from the misfortune of others,
Publilius Cyrus. An organization created from poor values will disintegrate as it is tested against the rigors of the world. The mainstream furry subculture is evidence of this. We have learned from their mistakes and have created solid foundations upon which we are building something better. How is the order governed? The condottiere is our equivalent of a CEO. He appoints brothers to the signoria, our equivalent of a board of directors. A member of the signoria is a prior, plural, priori. The sergeant-at-arms is the second in command, and is appointed from among the priori. The names of these offices originate in our law. In Latin, we are ordo uguis ore. The condottiere is styled as Magister Generalis, the signoria as Dominium, and sergeant-at-arms as Legatus, and a priori as Priore Pelpiores. We are a fraternal order, and thus only men qualify for membership, as is our prerogative. Different people, and thus different aggregations of people, are best served by different organizations which can independently determine how best to serve their members. If one appeals to all, one ultimately appeals to none. In fact, we think that the one-size-fits-all approach contributes to the misunderstanding, conflict, and general friction that foments the famous furry drama, so why go to a lose-lose situation? Men benefit from organizations that are exclusively male due to limitations that arise from being in and making accommodations for mixed company. Male-only organizations was the norm, not the exception, throughout history because men have their ways and women have theirs. There is also ample precedent set by thousands of women-only organizations such as sororities, gyms, and even an entire village in Kenya. The same principle holds true for differences in age. We set our lower bound to 21 for legal reasons. If we have a hotel room in the United States and there is alcohol, the crime of having someone who is under drinking age present is known as constructive possession. That liability would endanger our organization. If you're younger, we request your patience and invite you to submit your application for membership on your 21st birthday. What is your position regarding those not qualified to join? Furry fandom, broadly defined as a fondness for anthropomorphic animals, is for everyone to enjoy. We do not seek to exclude anyone from furry, as we have no ambition to supplant mainstream furry. We would like to see a multitude of autonomous organizations that cater to different people, which add to their individual experiences. A single subculture that caters to a narrow demographic, be it age, sexual orientation, political affiliation, or any combination thereof, falls short of its self-professed value of inclusion. A subculture's norms and customs coalesce to those of the majority, and people will join or depart depending on whether those work for them. In the case of mainstream furry, the demographic being catered to is 16 to 22, gay or bisexual, and significantly left of centre in politics. Cotherix noted that it appears to be stuck in a state of high school because of the immaturity and type of behaviour that comes with people of that age. When people of that age are put together, those are the norms and customs that emerge. That is not to say that everyone in that age bracket is that way or condones the status quo. A multitude of organisations where the norms and customs that suit their members' needs should prevail. We think that furry is better off polycentric and would like the order to be one organisation among many.
For those of you who don't know who Cotherix is, he's a YouTuber that made a video called In Defense of Paedophiles. Now this video has since been taken down, so don't try searching for it, because instead you'll get a video where he explains what the point he was trying to get across was in his paedophile video, which was something along the lines of people who have thoughts about children but don't act upon them can't be classed as paedophiles because they haven't done anything. I'm not linking it. If you're that interested, just go search for it yourself.
Why is an application fee required? If we didn't filter out spam, abusive or joke applications, we'd never get around to processing yours. $5 is small enough for it not to break the bank, but large enough to dissuade abuse of the application process, and it's for a good cause. Every cent of your application fee goes straight to charity. These donations are reflected in our annual financial statement. We are happy to read joke applications to raise money for charity, so if you have $5 burning a hole in your pocket, you are welcome to submit one, and we'll even decline it in a humorous manner. Are dues or donations mandatory? Short answer, no. They are requested, encouraged, and most welcome, but by no means mandatory. The last thing we want is to make a brother choose between membership and his bottom dollar. We were at one point considering annual dues, but decided against it because if we are providing a valuable service and demonstrating good governance and accountability, people will be naturally inclined to chip in. Most places of business have a coffee maker where employees can get a cup when they need it, and there is usually a fund for that in the form of a bowl or empty jar where people can put in a few coins. The more people chip in, the better the coffee that can be purchased. The Order is ambitious and would like to provide the best coffee for our members, but we cannot do that without your generosity. We ask that you send $20 each quarter if you can. Send that and we will recognize you as a Cavalier, Knight. The Condottiere and Sergeant-at-Arms each donate twice that. If you can't, just kick in what you can, we'll find a good use for it. It means we can do more than we could before thanks to your help. Can my membership remain secret? Of course. One of our values is discretion. We do not think it is anyone's business but yours whether you are a brother here. If one wishes to disclose his membership elsewhere, he may, but others' memberships and correspondence is kept private as that is not his to disclose. Are you affiliated with any other organizations? We are not affiliated with anyone else and are fiercely independent.
Any efforts by interlopers to meddle in our affairs will be met with fire and brimstone!
Why have an application process to begin with? Why not let in everyone? Unfortunately, the model of open admission has proven not to work for furry groups, chats, and arguably the furry subculture in general. We are determined that this organization benefit our members, so we take a different approach. Openness has been weaponized by certain bad actors. This strategy is called entryism, and is never going to happen to us because we put the onus upon the applicant to demonstrate he is good fit for our organization. The bar is not set high, but if one is unsure, he should inquire to us about his suitability.
And now on to the lore segment, which is the part I have not been looking forward to because there's a lot of Latin, and if you haven't already realised, I can't read Latin for shit.
Our lore. Legend has it that a talon was plucked from a golden statue and escaped the deluge of Atlantis. Engraved upon it is a griffin bearing a sword. It permanently bestows the form and powers of animals upon those who wore it for 3 days and 3 nights. From Atlantis, it passed to the Temple of Sais in Egypt, and then to the Roman emperors among the spoils of conquest. So exquisite was the talon that none dared melt it, so it survived the ravages for the next 1,000 years in the back of various hoards, curiosity cabinets, and jewellery boxes. In 1321, the Order of the Golden Talon was chartered in the Republic of Florence to bring Tuscan knights to her service. It was named after the curious artifact that graced the Grand Master's collar. The first of this office, Filippo of Spoleto, soon had his head turned into a lion's, and his hands and feet became paws. He concealed this transformation with armour, cloak, and obscurity. He communicated with the rest of the Order via the Sergeant-at-Arms, which came to be the de facto second-in-command. We only learned that the Talon was behind this transformation when the collar was sent to the goldsmith for repair. His assistant sprouted a tail as he donned it, and strutted around town for a proud afternoon. Many would don the Talon and be transformed, often disconnecting from the outside world and taking on a fresh identity. As more of us became as animals, the Order interfaced less and less with the great families of Florence. They would only turn to the men who shroud their faces for unlawful matters, such as arson, murder for hire, and other such things. Every cat needs a cat's paw, after all. As we literally knew where the bodies were buried, none would touch us, and we would neutralize most threats with a carefully placed letter. We were a company of mercenaries with the appearance of a noble military order. This shift was reflected in the styling of the head of the Order as Grand Master, the formal title, to Condottiere, or Mercenary Captain. We also adjusted our heraldry with the placement of the coins beside the griffin's sword. We believe in truth in advertising. Ludovictus Vulpes, Legatus 1491-1498, Magister Generalis 1498-1510.
I'd just like to point out as well, just breaking character for a second, the artwork isn't bad at all. It's decent enough artwork. I just wouldn't want my artwork to be associated with people like this. You know, assuming if I was an artist. I'm not an artist. I can't draw like that. But like I say, the artwork's amazing.
We were outlawed, but never formally disbanded under the regime of the fanatic usurper Savonarola. He rebuffed our overtures and instead offered great sums for the capture of our brothers. Our hand was forced, and it was either topple the regime or flee to the lands of someone who owed us a favour or two. Ludovicio the Fox rewarded Savonarola's impertinence with an arrow through his shoulder that sadly failed to kill him. With our intentions known, we had no other option but to flee in the night as fast as our horses and carriages would travel. In time, we settled in Bellinzona, then in the Duchy of Milan.
Can I just break character again for a second, because I just realised it says horses and carriages. What if the horses were furries as well? What if... I know it doesn't say it, but what if the horses were people. I'm tempted to show you guys that horse comic. I'm not sure if people know about it, but it's the horse comic where a man turns into a horse and he gets naked. I'm not going to show it. I don't want to.
There the Order was hired by the Swiss to sabotage the forces of Duke Sforza, though they had no use for us afterwards. We passed into obscurity as highwaymen that rustled the occasional cow or horse and hurried it across the border. We established ourselves in Vienna and Milan, but our business was that of a minor gang until we came by Caesar, our connection to the Ndrangheta. He has a nasty habit of stepping on well-armed and easily irritated toes, so he slummed it with us for a while and laid low, at least by his standards. We started smuggling cigarettes from the Balkans and other points east to Italy and Switzerland, and sending back fenced goods from hijacked lorries whose foolish owners failed to pay protection. In time, word of our deeds spread, and nothing in the canton of Ticino would get done without us taking a cut. Our trip to space was a result of two failures: Glencore's floundering asteroid mining operations and intrigue that backfired. A major shareholder, who shall remain unnamed, hired us to kidnap certain relatives of his rival to force through a vote on scrapping the extraterrestrial money pit. Though we followed his instructions to the letter and held captive whom he requested, he pursued a different strategy and did not render payment. We gave him a taste of his own medicine. After a very frank conversation, we won half his shares as payment in a barely legal game of blackjack. He hit on 19, hit again on 20, and even cried on camera. To avoid an abrupt sale and possible fistfight in the boardroom, Glencore offered to swap our shares for its mining operation, the space station on Lagrange Point 4, and what became our main spacecraft. It did not take long for us to make it a success. We are now expanding operations, and are looking for a few good animals who do not mind knocking a few heads together. The sky is no limit for what you can do out here. Membership criteria. An applicant must be a man aged 21 or older and of good character. He must know either English or Latin. Man is defined as a biological male who does not think he is something else. Good character is ascertained during the application process. Therianthropy is not an issue as long as these criteria are otherwise satisfied.
What is therianthropy? Hold on a minute. Google. Therianthropy meaning. Therianthropy is the mythological ability of human beings to metamorphose into other animals by means of shapeshifting. Of course it is. Why did I not put that together? I've been reading a furry website for over 10 minutes. And with that, we are done. If you made it all the way to the end, then thank you very much for listening to me ramble on for over 10 minutes. I think we can all agree on three things here. The first one is my David Attenborough impression is terrible, and I really struggle to keep that up. Like, seriously, I've had to stop and start recording quite a few times because it wrecked my throat. The second is that I can't read Latin, so it looks like I won't be allowed to join this club, which is fine, because I wouldn't have wanted to join it anyway. And the third is that these types of people exist, and whenever I'm feeling down about myself, I can always look back on this and think at least I'm not like these guys. Once again, thank you to the Twitter user Way Unappreciator for posting all of this, and to my friend Robert for bringing this to my attention. If you guys come across anything that you think I'd like to read, then please send it my way, because I'll pretty much read anything. Either leave a link in the comments below, or send it to me through Tumblr, which I will also link in the description below. I post the same content on Tumblr as I do on YouTube, but I also post some behind the scenes stuff on there if you're interested. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video.